What's up, everybody? Kevin Fabese here talking sports with you today. And coming up this week, we have the start of the NBA Finals. So, this is going to be an NBA Finals preview edition. So, I hope you guys are excited to dive into this Golden State Warriors Cleveland Cavaliers Part 4. Should be an interesting final. First of all, I just want to say congrats to the Celtics and the Rockets on great seasons. For the Celtics to push LeBron and company to 7 games is quite impressive. I feel like they have got a bright future in front of them. I mean, making it that far without arguably your two best players in Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Although Al Horford is probably the most important player at this point. Without those two players, to push LeBron to 7 games, even with as bad as that supporting cast is for Cleveland, that is impressive. LeBron's performance in Game 7, though, wow. I think throughout the series, throughout these playoffs, he's been unbelievable and has further reasserted that he's the best player in the league today. But it's again great job by Boston. I think they're going to own this league for the next 5 to 10 years. They've got so much young talent right now, and really they're waiting in the wings to take over the East from LeBron as soon as he slips up. And Golden State, they looked lackadaisical, kind of apathetical at times in the series, but they're able to put Houston away. I really wish Chris Paul had been healthy for those last couple of games. I feel like Houston could have given Golden State a better run for their money, and it would have made for an exciting last couple of games if Chris Paul had been healthy, especially the way he helped close out games 4 and 5. I think you can't argue that he would have been definitely would have been incredibly valuable to the Rockets in those 2 games. They start off so hot, and James Harden gets fatigued. Instead of driving, he's trying to pull up threes. The Rockets in the second half of Game 7, they went from, in the first half, they were driving at will. They were scoring layups left and right. Eric Gordon was getting in the lane. James Harden was getting in the lane. And then they were kicking out to wide open shooters for threes. And in the second half, they got a little more fatigued. And instead of driving, they just kind of passed it a little bit. They kind of went really isolation heavy in that second half, and then just started jacking up threes. And as opposed to the first half, you're driving and kicking, you have open shots. They really were throwing up a lot of forced shots. Harden kept coming and just trying to jack up a 27-footer over Kevin Durant. You can't have too much success doing that. The Warriors make their money off of taking contested threes like that and taking what many would deem to be bad shots, and just because they're such great shooters, they make them look good. But Houston doesn't have that quality of shooter, and so they got so reliant on the three and got fatigued. And if Chris Paul's there, maybe he can take over for James for a little bit and drive and dish and still get that movement down low instead of just jacking up threes left and right. So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened there. But hats off to the Warriors. After it seemed like they didn't care points in the series, they just are able to throw it into another gear, and all of a sudden you look up and they're up 20. It's incredible what this team can do in short spurts, 4-minute bursts, and it's a 20-2 run. A testament to how much talent that team has. Between 2 MVPs and Durant and Curry, arguably one of the top 5 shooters of all time, and Klay Thompson, let alone Steph Curry himself, is arguably the best shooter of all time. Draymond Green's a defensive player of the year. The team's absolutely loaded, and I think moving forward to the finals, there's kind of this idea that it's a huge mismatch. And I would agree that is definitely the case. If you look at the supporting cast for LeBron, this is probably the weakest team he's taken to the finals since that 2007 series when he had Larry Hughes, Anderson Varejao, Zydrunas Ilgauskas. That was a pretty bad team. This one's pretty bad too. Kevin Love, yes, is he a former All-Star, but has he played like it in these playoffs? Not a whole lot. It's sad when you're glad that Kevin Love hits double digits, but that's kind of the place that we're in right now with Kevin Love. He just hasn't performed well, and I don't really know what's going on with him. Maybe he's lost his confidence a little bit. Something, but the whole team is so reliant on LeBron right now. So in order for the Cavs to have any chance in this series, LeBron has to absolutely dominate. And on the flip side, you have 4 All-Stars, potentially 4 Hall of Famers on the Warriors, and it's a complete mismatch. The talent-wise, the Warriors starting lineup is so much better than the Cavs outside of LeBron. I think one of the best analogies I heard is if you're the Warriors, would any player for the Cavs even play for you in their rotation? And the one I heard, which was kind of funny, and I don't mean to take a shot at Kevin Love, but the only player that could potentially play for the Warriors right now, in my opinion, Kevin Love. And like, what type of role would he be? Well, I heard analysts talking, and they were like, yeah, Kevin Love might be able to play for the Warriors in kind of like a David West role. But the thing is, David West doesn't even play for the Warriors right now. Like, he just rides the bench. So it's just a testament to how much talent this Warriors team has, when hardly, and the lack of talent as well for the Cavs, when pretty much only LeBron would even play for these Warriors. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kevin Love has been a great player throughout his career, but he is a defensive liability right now. And quite frankly, he's not putting the ball in the basket. I mean, I believe he's shooting sub 40% for the playoffs, which is unheard of for a guy that's 6'10". I mean, that's mind-boggling that he's shooting so poorly from the field, and he can't score. And they need him to score if they're going to win. Some people it looks like a complete mismatch. I've heard people say 5 games are giving a little bit of respect to LeBron, saying he's going to get 1. Many people say it's going to be a sweep for Golden State. I could see either happening. I mean, this Golden State team is that historically good. I think there's a very realistic argument to be made that they're the greatest team that we've ever seen. And I think pretty inarguably they're the greatest collection of talent we've ever seen. With the potentially 4 Hall of Famers, they have 5 either All-Stars or used to be All-Stars. I mean, Andre Iguodala was an All-Star at one point. Yes, I know he's hurt right now. He's also 34, but he was an All-Star at one point in his career. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, all in their prime, all All-Stars this year. They made up 33% of the Western Conference All-Star team. 33% from the Golden State Warriors. That is how talented these guys are. And it's a complete mismatch. But I'm going to give you guys 3 reasons why I think the Cavs have a chance in this series, and why I feel like LeBron has a chance to take to 6, maybe 7, not maybe sneak away with the victory. And look, I'm not going to predict that the Cavs are going to win, but I think there's a lot better chance than many people are giving them. I don't think it's set in stone that the Warriors are going to win. Okay, so first of all, why do the Cavs have a chance to win? Well, they have the greatest player in the world, LeBron James. He's been on an absolute tear throughout these playoffs. I believe he's had 7 40-point games, tying Michael Jordan for the second most in a playoff run all time. I'm sure he's going to get another 40-point game at some point in this series, barring Golden State just sending 3 and 4 guys at him. I mean, that's how much this team is asking of him. He's going to have to drop 40. He's going to have to get triple-doubles. He's going to have to get his teammates involved. And he's probably going to have to play all 48 minutes while playing really good defense. I mean, maybe not all 48 minutes, but anytime he's going to come off the floor, the Cavs are going to be in trouble. So I expect him to play ridiculous minutes and give his everything out there. And only because of LeBron James, I feel like they have a very realistic chance, at least a fighter's chance in this series, because he's that much better than any other player in the world. I mean, Kevin Durant, probably the second best player in the world right now, but he was showing some struggles in the playoffs. Yes, I know he's still averaged over 30 points last series, but kind of disappeared in some of the fourth quarters, maybe kind of wanes in and out of, focus. I mean, the entire Warriors team kind of tends to do that. But if you switch Durant and LeBron, is anybody saying that Durant would have taken these Cavs to the finals? I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody, probably not anybody in NBA history who could have taken this Cavs team to the finals outside of LeBron. I mean, yes, did they struggle against Indiana? They struggled against Boston, yeah. But, I mean, LeBron got him here. I think that's a testament to his greatness, and it's one of his greatest achievements. I mean, obviously, it probably pales in comparison to his coming back from 3-1 against the 73-9 Warriors, a few years ago. But still a great achievement by LeBron to get this team in the finals. And you saw, he was gassed. He gave his absolutely everything to his team, to Cleveland, throughout that series. And in Game 7, he was ready for a break. So moving on, I think the second reason that the Cavs could potentially steal the series, or at least make it more competitive than most people are letting on, is that the Warriors themselves are very apathetic right now. I think we've seen throughout this playoff stretch, they kind of wane in and out of focus, whether they actually cared. I mean, in the first round series against the Spurs. They lost the game to the Spurs, who I'm a big Spurs fan, but not a lot of talent there right now without Kawhi Leonard. The Warriors really should have just steamrolled them. But they gave up a game. They almost lost the second game in Game 5 to the Spurs. And then in the Pelicans series, lost the game to a much inferior Pelicans squad. Yeah, I know the Pelicans were probably playing for some pride there, but I just think that focus is waning a little bit. And also, in the Houston series, we saw Golden State more from this offensive juggernaut where they're passing the ball, moving the ball, getting wide open threes to, in games 4 and 5, hardly passing the ball at all. They go isolation heavy, have I think like 14 assists and like 18 assists, very un-Warriors-like, kind of a little apathetic, not playing Warriors basketball. And I think if that trend continues, that spells danger for the Warriors. I think actually one of the biggest issues for the Warriors is that Kevin Durant is so good in isolation that they have a tendency to just feed him in isolation and just say, hey, KD, we're going to give you the ball on the block and just go score. But the thing is that takes the Warriors out of what makes them great. I feel like what makes them great is their ball movement. They're one of the best passing teams we've ever seen. And that centers around Steph Curry. Steph Curry, when he's moving with and without the ball, getting his teammates involved, coming off screens, stretches the defense, and he gives his teammates wide open looks. Draymond Green does a great job of facilitating to Clay, Kevin, and Curry, and whoever else they have on the floor. But when you go isolation heavy with Durant, the motion slows down, the offense becomes more predictable, it's easier to defend. And yes, I know Durant, majority of the time, is going to own whoever's trying to guard him, but it takes him out of the rhythm. So I think one of the best things Cleveland can do is dare Kevin Durant to beat them. Say, hey, we're not going to put LeBron on him. KD, if you drop 45 and beat us, we'll take it. But you're gonna have to do that. We're gonna try and limit Steph Curry or limit Klay Thompson, make you guys go isolation heavy. Now, do the Cavs have the personnel to do that? Probably not. I mean, KD could realistically just own them, especially if they were for some reason to not have LeBron guarding Durant during this series. But I think that's what they have to do in this series. Dare Golden State to not play like the Warriors. If you let them get 30 assists, I mean, there's no way that the Cavs are going to be able to keep up offensively with this team. They have to slow it down, make it a grind-out basketball game, and just say, hey, LeBron, you're going to have the ball in your hand every single possession. Try and get some switches, get Curry to guard LeBron, and then just say, hey, LeBron, go to work on Curry, get him banged up, draw some fouls, slow the game down. But you can't get in a running match with these guys. The Warriors will beat you every single time if you get in a horse race with them. And so I think it's a very dangerous series for the Cavs. LeBron has to be their end-all, be-all. Everything has to go through him. He has to up his level defensively. He has to be just as dominant as he has been offensively, but he has to set the tone defensively. If he doesn't set the tone defensively, they could easily give up 120, 130 points to these Warriors. And in the blink of an eye, that's how easy these Warriors can score. Also, this might be a little controversial, but I think there is something to be said for LeBron not having a second All-Star right now. I mean, yes, Love was an All-Star at one point, but he's not playing like it right now. And obviously the loss of Kyrie Irving, in many people's minds, hurts their chances in this series. But I think one could argue that not having Kyrie forces LeBron to have the ball in his hands. And yes, does that tire him out throughout the course of the game? But he's arguably the greatest player of this generation. I think he's the greatest player of this generation. Arguably the greatest player of all time. And so rather than having to give Kyrie Irving his touches, the ball's in LeBron's hands. Every single play is going to go through LeBron. So he's able to put his full imprint on this game. And do I think he can do it for full 48 minutes 4 times? Probably not. But I think at the same time, if you're going to go down swinging, put the ball in the best player in the world's hands and just say, hey, we're gonna see how far we can ride him, and then that's what Cleveland has done throughout this year. So that'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, Kyrie's playmaking and being able to let LeBron rest a little bit would have been nice in a series like this. But the ball's gonna be in LeBron's hands more. Maybe that could help. I mean, he's really their only path to success. And then moving on, I think the third reason that the Cavs actually have a legitimate chance in this series is one that actually I haven't heard talked about a lot. So when the schedule first came out, the first thing that stood out to me is the amount of days of rest that LeBron has in these series. The in between all of the games after game one, the teams have at least 2 days rest for 5 of the 6 games. The only time they have 1 day of rest is between games 3 and 4, which is already in Cleveland. And honestly, I think this is one of the biggest points that I've taken away from the finals. LeBron has had to play 48 minutes in Game 7, 46 in Game 6 against Boston. He's going to have to go the distance for these Cavs if they have any chance to win. But if you give him 2 days off, his chance to rest, his chance to recuperate, get his mind right, get his body right, and then I think it's more realistic for him to go 48 minutes at a time. I mean, as realistic as it can be for anybody to play 48 minutes. But that's a big key in this series. 2 days off between games 1 and 2, 2 days off between games 2 and 3. That gives LeBron a chance to really refuel. And, historically, actually, the numbers parse this out and support this. So, aside from game ones, which I threw out because I feel like LeBron kind of has a tendency to feel out the opponent in game one, is maybe not as aggressive. He doesn't exert full energy. Not saying he's not playing with effort, but he kind of has a tendency to just feel out the series. He said that multiple times. But excluding game ones, when LeBron has 2 days rest or more in his playoff career, he's averaging more points per game, more steals per game, more blocks per game, more rebounds, a better field goal percentage, a better free throw percentage, a better 3-point percentage than when he only has 1 day of rest. He's shooting on 2 days rest or more, 50.4% from the field. On 1 day of rest, he's shooting 48%. When he has 2 days or more rest, he's shooting 37% from 3. He's only shooting 33% after 1 day of rest. Rebounds, almost half a rebound more with 2 days of rest, almost half an assist more with 2 days of rest, a full point per game more with 2 days rest. LeBron's better when he's resting, and especially at this point in his career, when he knows he's going to have to go the full 48, LeBron's going to be better when he's resting. I think we've seen that throughout the playoffs. When there was a big layoff between games 2 and 3 of the last series, LeBron came in game 3 and just dominated. And I think that's a key aspect to pay attention to, is the amount of rest LeBron's going to get. Yes, are the Warriors going to get the same amount of rest, but they're not going to also experience the same level of fatigue that LeBron will. And so with the more rest, LeBron can really exert himself in these games and give it his everything and leave it out on the court. Now, is it going to be enough in the long run? Probably not. I would still pick the Warriors probably in 5, maybe 6. But don't exclude the possibility that LeBron could go on one of these incredible runs and lead this team to a championship. I think it's dangerous when we put all of our chips on one side of the table and say the Warriors are going to win this. There's no doubt about it. That's one of the most dangerous things in sports, when one team has no pressure. LeBron, his legacy is secure. If they lose this series, everybody expected them to. He's playing arguably the greatest team of all time, the greatest collection of talent we've ever seen. He's playing with house money. If he wins this, can you imagine what that would do for his legacy? With this band of role players to be able to knock off this team, I mean, it's house money. Like, what does he have to lose? The rest of the Cavs role players, what do they have to lose? They've been told that they're scrubs and, barely even replacement level players by everybody throughout these playoffs. And I mean, so if they perform poorly, par for the course. But if they're able to play up to a much higher level and maybe potentially capture this championship crown, I mean, their names will be etched into history and prove all the doubters wrong. So, I mean, it's really dangerous when a team has virtually no pressure going into a championship, and the other side has all the pressure. If Golden State loses this to this team, can you imagine the backlash Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green are going to get? I mean, Kevin Durant's already been killed because he left Oklahoma City to go to a 73-9 Warriors team. Can you imagine what this would do to his legacy if he lost to the Cavs? So I think you got to be careful because one team's got all the pressure and one team has hardly any. So I hope you guys enjoy the finals. I know I'm looking forward to it. I really hope LeBron can make this a series. I want to see a competitive 6 or 7 game series. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching.